What can you do when executives disengage and start checking their email? First, let's watch as Julie Folch struggles to keep the executive's attention.
Investment of our time. Our leaders need this program. It's tough economic times. We're not able to compensate people appropriately.
When executives disengage, it can be very frustrating for the presenter. Sometimes they just like to take direct action.
It's not a great investment. It's not that much.
Whoa, Julie. Whoa. What? Julie, what are you, whoa. Jeez.
Do I have your attention
Clearly,
now?
smashing the CEO's BlackBerry is a career-limiting move. Keep in mind, executives are type A personalities and under constant time pressure. They become distracted and disengaged quickly if the presenter doesn't get to the point or doesn't understand the bigger picture.
My name is Julie Folch. I work for Elan Pharmaceuticals. I'm a Senior Director of Human Resources. My goals in this presentation are to have the board buy into a proposal that we're putting forth where the organization would invest in our key talent, our leadership talent. So I'd like this group that's at the table to agree with, pay for, sponsor, and support a talent development program for our leaders.
In this segment, you'll learn how to read the room and take action, ask a question to re-engage them, confirm the value of your topic with a process check, and enlist your sponsor's help.
The importance of investing in this leadership development program. John and I spoke about it the last time we met. We need about $200,000, an investment of our time. Our leaders need this program. It's tough economic times. We're not able to compensate people appropriately.
I can't really talk, but I'll try.
And I really need your support and attention on this.
It did not go well. The presentation did not go well. Did not have the focus of the people in the room. They were completely distracted and disengaged. It was pretty nearly a disaster. What was going through my mind as I was reading the room and just seeing right in front of me their complete sense of distraction and detachment from this topic is, oh no, we're losing them. And because of the lack of impact in the delivery, I think, of what I'm trying to get across, they're going to miss the opportunity to do something that's really powerful for the employees. I felt completely disheartened to see that for all of the effort, the prep time spent, the efforts, the time of everybody in the room sitting there to not get the outcome that I wanted. It's been a rough day.
So in the last 5 years, with the advent of these devices in a boardroom, you need to now always summarize what you're there for in the first 30 seconds. Where you might have had 2 minutes 5 or 10 years ago, you now got 30 seconds to compete with, this is more interesting.
If topics are selected for the meetings that have relevance to everybody, then people will generally pay attention. They may be fumbling around a little bit with their email, but if they're if you pause and ask a question, they're right there. They're understanding. They're multitasking. They're with you.
I also think it's important to say I just have 3 slides, or something, so people know they're not in for a 20-minute dirge.
If you can connect your problem with what we're trying to do, that gets our attention much faster.
If we're all worried that, you know, the company is in trouble, you know, business is down, things are tough, to come in and propose a new program is going to be a tough sell.
Right.
So I think you've got to somehow say, I know things are tough, I know we're cutting back in other areas, but let me tell you why this is the one thing that I think, or we think, that we should be doing because it does X.
The people around this table are integrating information streams coming from 25, 50 parts of the organization, and how your piece fits in, and in the context of what might have happened a few days before, whatever, becomes really, really important.
To keep them engaged, make sure the topic is relevant, that you understand the bigger picture, and that you get right to the point. So here's some advice for dealing with disengaged executives.
Getting engagement. That's what you're looking for. If you don't have it at the beginning, stop and get it. If you never get it, go home.
Some people can check their BlackBerry, look at their computer, and hear what you're saying at the same time. So it's a natural inclination to think that you've lost the person at the table and that they're just being rude. But they may be one of those people who can just do that. So I wouldn't, first thing is not to jump to a conclusion and get all flustered. It's also possible the person is opening their computer and taking notes on something you said, that they think that what you said is so interesting that they actually want to write it down and keep it, or you've made them think of something they want to cross-reference in another file. So you really can't know why someone has checked their BlackBerry or opened their computer, or even if they pick up their cell phone, because they may be calling somebody and say, you got to get in here, there's something really interesting happening. On the other hand, you might have lost them. So it takes, again, it's one of those things where it's important to try and read the room a little bit if you can. If you have a sponsor who's a senior person you report to, you might want to give some eye contact to that person to see if they have any guidance for you on what's happening, because they'll know what the norm is for that person in the room.
It depends who pulls out the laptop. If it's the decision maker, you're in big trouble because you lost them. But if somebody else does it, don't let that worry you, because number one, you're briefing the decision maker. Number two, you've already coordinated with that individual, so you know you have his vote. So because remember, I said if you're walking into a room and you haven't coordinated, you haven't done your work.
I think you can acknowledge that everybody's busy. Just stop and say, I know everybody's busy, and is there some way I can, just have your attention for a minute to get to the punchline, and so we can make a decision and move on.
If you've lost the room, then you need to kind of get up to the higher level and do, as you were saying, a process check. And point out that at the end of this, we're going to be making a decision.
I don't think you can just ignore when somebody's on their BlackBerry or somebody's on their computer, but I don't think you can go overboard and stop the meeting and say, hey, everybody needs to get off their BlackBerry and listen to me.
If I'm looking at somebody and I see their eyes glazing over, I know they're either A, bored, or they're B, not understanding me. And so if they're in that mode and I see that in them, I'll say, Jim, I don't know if this is hitting for you exactly, but I know of an experience you had once which, and I'll use their name.
Jim comes right with you then.
And now all of a sudden Jim is back. Now one of two things happens with Jim's eyes. Either they stop glazing over, which is a sign that he was just drifting, or they continue to glaze over because he really doesn't get a clue about what I'm talking about. And if I see that's continuing, then I make sure that he interacts with me with words.
It's the B key on your computer, and if you hit B in the middle of a PowerPoint presentation, your screen goes blank. And it's an incredibly powerful way to have everybody sort of tune in to what you're saying, because they've been starting to take notes, answering emails, whatever, but when you turn off that screen, all of a sudden all eyes are directed at you, and it's really an incredibly effective tool.
It's almost a trick of presenting, but that's engagement by name. If you've said my name more than once, I'm responsible to listen to you.
I had 4 generals in the audience, plus the Undersecretary of the Army. I was briefing off of a PowerPoint set of charts. About 3 charts into my briefing, the Undersecretary turned around and started fiddling with paper on his desk. I looked at him and I said, Mr. Secretary, you've stopped listening to me. I've either said something you don't like or you don't agree with my briefing. There's no sense in me talking because you're not listening. The general's almost died. He looked at me and he said, Colonel, you're right. I already know where you're going, and I don't agree, and I want you to change what you're doing. I said, okay, I'll turn the slides off and I'll take your direction. That's what I did.
And the outcome was? The
outcome was I went back, redid my study, redid my briefing, and came back 2 weeks later, and I was successful. You might as well stop and find out what the rub is, because you're going to fail anyways. So why waste 20 more minutes? Take the bullet now.
Fortunately, we don't have to take the bullet now. But we do need to keep executives engaged. Remember, acknowledge the context, read the room, multitasking may be okay, draw them out with questions, and do a process check. Here, Julie takes this advice as she does her second presentation.
I think it's going to take us to the next level. I think the leadership of this organization right now is struggling a great deal with not being able to pay people the money we've been able to in the past. It's very difficult for people to process check here. Is this still a relevant topic for you all?
Yes, I think it's an important topic.
We see an improvement in leadership when you do these kinds of programs. I mean, I can show you, if you'll let me go through a couple of these slides.
We're all sort of probably reacting to, you know, what happened. So let's
Why don't we
try to
defer
take
this?
an open
Why
look
don't we
at
defer
it.
this
Well, I think if you take a look, this will impact all the leaders
it's,
throughout the organization. It's each of your leadership teams that will benefit from this program.
Notice how our sponsor jumps in, and then the CEO makes the final recommendation.
Just take a few minutes to go through this. I just want it in everybody's head.
I probably
we're
overreacted.
Talking about this.
I propose we let her go through maybe 5 minutes or 3 minutes just to give us a high-level summary, and then we can decide whether we move forward or not.
It went so well this time. This was fantastic, much better. The group was paying attention. They were bought in. They were engaged. They were paying attention to what we were saying. They were interested. They were asking questions. They were part of the process. I used a strategy of reading the room, paying attention to see if people are really engaged, listening, if they were making eye contact or not with me. I saw that they were, to some extent, but I needed more from them. I needed them to be fully engaged. So I did a process check with them, and I asked, process check here, is this still relevant for you all? I also looked to my sponsor and asked for his help, and he got involved and very engaged in the process along the way.
It was good that she took on herself that she had lost us, as opposed to blaming us for being rude. And I think that was good, and she opened the possibility that we were doing what Brenda was talking about, that maybe we were actually checking something because we were interested in something that she had said.
Yeah, had you kept going and done your spiel over us, you would have been that executive that came in with that irrelevant stuff, and we, you know, you'd been faithless. So you did a good job by averting disaster.
So as you prepare, make sure that you understand the context and the bigger issues the executives are dealing with. If they become disengaged, do as Julie did in the last example. Read the room and take action. Re-engage with a question. Confirm the value of your topic with a process check, and enlist your sponsor's help to get things back on track. Now you'll be ready when they start checking their emails. Oh, one more thing. Never smash the CEO's BlackBerry or light it on fire.